The deal is, we've invited you into our mastering suite at Birch Productions. My name is Andy Krem.
Tell me a little bit about the process, Andy. What are you doing here?
Okay, we are the place that is the intermediary between your studio mixes and your final CD. And it's generally called mastering, although pre-mastering is the correct technical term. And what happens is, in the studio, an engineer and producer and group are mixing their individual tracks, and they may be working from 2 hours to 8 hours on each single track. They might be doing it over 2 weeks, they might be doing it over 2 months, 2 years. They might be doing it at 3 different studios, 4 different studios. They may have a different drummer one session and the other session a different one. So what happens is you have a whole bunch of different mixes that make up the album, but they may sound quite different. So our job in the mastering suite is to take all those different mixes and try and equalize or balance them, make them sound like they should be on the same album. And a lot of the mastering work is enhancing, whereas we just sort of make it a little bigger, a little more brightness, a little more sparkle, a little better bottom end. And the other part of mastering is fixing up problems. So some studios have a very poor low-end response, and you get mixes that have a very boomy bass when you get them out of the studio, although they might have sounded fine there. So our job is to try and equalize, balance, and finally do a sequence. We want to get all the songs balanced up, so when you're listening on your couch or your chair, you wouldn't have to get up and turn the volume up for song 8 or song 6 or turn it down. So we want to make it a nice listening experience. So we're involved in finishing the whole album up, making sure it sounds sonically balanced within reason, making sure the volumes are good, and fixing up any problems like clicks or pops or microphone pops. And another part of what we do is editing. We can take a chorus from one part of a song and put it over another part. If the third chorus isn't satisfactory, you might copy the second chorus. There's a lot of digital tricks that go on in the studio that a lot of musicians and consumers are not aware of, and they all have to do with digital editing workstations like this.
You're going to give us a little demonstration then?
Well, what I will show you a couple different things. Now, this is a group called Fallacy Flow. They're an independent group, and they have graciously consented to let their works appear on your show. Now, the first thing we do with a pop album is to check the bottom end out, because generally, almost always, these are boomy. Bottom ends are boomy. So things you can do with these are like, we work on a specific area. So the bottom end compression is the first thing we do, and it's done to almost every album, but not necessarily every album. The next thing is we have stereo field. We can actually mess around with the stereo field usually in a positive way, because a $500,000 album will have a big, huge sound. It'll be very wide. It'll be, it'll have a deep sound. And I will not even attempt to demonstrate this because you're listening in mono. So, but just for fun, this is the, if you can see on the screen, there's little waves, and we're basically widening the stereo field, changing the frequencies around, just making it bigger. And there's 2 different ones that we have. This one also helps the stereo field. And again, I'm not going to demonstrate that because I can't. And now, here's another one. And this is a volume raiser. You've noticed that, all you indie artists have noticed that if you play an unmastered album against a major label album in a CD carousel, you will notice that the volume of the unmastered album is quite a bit quieter, maybe 10%, maybe 15% even. It sounds very weak. And even if it's a good recording, it still sounds weak, because volume is one of the big differentiators in terms of what makes people think things sound good. So that's why people like to turn up their volume. But what we do here is we raise the volume digitally, so that when you put it on your turntable, it sounds as loud as any major label CD. And that's what this one does. You hear the difference right now. Off. This is the unmastered version. This is the mastered version. So there's quite a difference. And then we'll get into some equalization, which people say, oh, give me a little more sparkle. What they simply mean is adding some top end. So I hope you can hear a little bit of that. And there's different frequencies we'll add depending on the album.